Oh, hi there. I was just editing one of these episodes here. I'm Dylan James Weaver, but you can call me Dylan, and this is the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Hey, let's hear how this thing sounds. Hold in! Okay, so it needs a little more work, but that's the exciting part, because you never know what you'll discover along the way. Oh, don't take my word for it, though. You can find out for yourself as you experience our side of the podcast, the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Hello and welcome to a very special Valentine's Day edition of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we are so excited to be joined by a special Valentine's Day guest. She's a highly anticipated, aspiring actor, creator, bi-coastal, multi-hyphenate, and the host of Classroom Crush. It's...
Rebecca Rose Bulnes.
Hey!
And that is the full name, and we registered for SAG this way. So we've rebranded to Rebecca Rose Bulnes, and I'm so honored to be able to really establish that here today.
I love it. I love it so much. We were going back and forth with different email addresses. Sometimes it was Rebecca Bulnes. I know. Sometimes it was Rebecca Rose Bulnes.
I always
I never know.
forget because it's like, you you have two emails and they all go to the one. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just like, well, I do this all the time. Maybe I'm missing out on life-changing opportunities this way. People being like, who is this girl and her clone? Thank you for holding me accountable to that. It's really, this is a learning year for me.
Amen.
That's what I want to do. I want my first, as I'm establishing a rapport with the guests on the podcast, to be me just
you are a teacher. You are a natural-born teacher, you see. And I'm a learner. I love to learn.
Dylan is a natural-born teacher. He's been teaching me since the day we met.
That's beautiful. The power of friendship is absolutely gorgeous.
So, Rebecca, I'm pretty confident that I know the answer here, but to establish for the audience listening, did you have any prior experience with Adventures in Odyssey before listening to this episode?
Definitely not would have to be the answer to that. I had no idea what it was. When you messaged me, I'm like, does this sound like some sort of a deep sea adventure? I like that. I'm like, where are we going? Shows how much I know, which was zero. I knew nothing. And it was a beautiful world to step into for half an hour.
You feel better or worse for now knowing it?
I feel like I have learned. I feel like I have more information than I previously had about the world around me.
Lifelong learner, Rebecca
and
Bulnes.
who lives in it.
Rebecca Rose
and who
Bulnes.
makes shows. Those little kid actors. Listen, I'll wait. I'll hold that.
I'll wait.
Oh, man. So yeah, to establish for the audience, we're talking about episode 13, Bobby's Valentine, because it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And because Rebecca hosts the excellent Classroom Crush, and so I was like, let's do a crush episode.
A pretty good
that
fit.
Feels...
And the fact, and it really is a crush episode. I was shocked.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, we're talking about crushes. And I'm like, okay, I know about this. Sounds like my territory.
80s. We're talking about crushes.
Yeah. And that was very sweet. Until it wasn't.
Yeah. That is the Odyssey way. It's sweet till it's
is
not.
That a pattern? Wait, so you guys grew up listening to this?
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and you loved it?
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
No holds barred.
High production value.
Oh, yeah.
It's entertaining.
I mean, surprisingly.
We love a radio play. What is a radio play if not the first podcast?
Exactly.
Natural born podcasters as well.
Would we be doing this here if not for Adventures
in Odyssey?
For Adventure,
well, definitely not this show. It would be impossible.
True.
Okay, cool.
You make a great point.
Cool.
But
I just want.
But yeah. So this episode, though, we had not listened to growing up because it was only ever aired once on February 13th of 1988, and then they pulled it from the air.
Because too mature?
No.
Too crazy? Why?
Because they depicted a cop as stupid.
Oh my God. You know why that's so funny? That's so funny because one of my notes, and I did take notes, and they don't really make sense, but one of my my notes is, where is it? Oh, I said, why is a cop here now? At least he sucks. At least he sucks.
Yep.
So they agreed that he sucks. Oh my God.
Yeah. So the creation of the show was like, we are going to have these 3 main men and this one girl.
Okay.
And that's our cast. That's our core cast.
So the 3 main
and the
men
were
yeah.
the men were the owner of the ice cream shop.
Right.
Whit,
He's doing the Sundays and such.
a farmer named Tom, who is not in this episode.
I wish I could have met Tom.
A police officer named Harley.
Why?
And Connie Kendall, a high school student who works at the ice cream shop.
Those are the main characters.
Those
Were
are the
those
main
characters in
characters.
this episode at all? Any of them besides
They
the cop?
made
The ice cream
The
guy
ice
was
cream
in this
guy.
episode.
Right.
The police officer was in this episode, obviously.
Right.
And then
Yes.
And then Connie is there briefly as the character who gives the advice to Amy.
Of
Gives
to
the bad
ignore
advice.
Yes.
to ignore. Oh right. And I have
Correct.
thoughts on this.
Oh,
Really
and-
interesting. It's really interesting the world that they decided to build and
Yeah,
making,
3 old men and a high school girl is really what I would want.
And they're really like
a
old
farmer,
men.
an entrepreneur, and a cop.
right.
And in
Can't think of better role
1988,
models.
that
And like
just
an
makes perfect sense.
overzealous cop who's like trying to simply tackle to the ground a jaywalker and incarcerate them.
In
A lot of
Odyssey,
stuff on
USA.
incarceration in this, and we'll get into it. But yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really interesting. Who made this?
So focus on the family.
Yeah, okay.
Which, if you've never heard of,
No.
thank you. That would be, you
You've-
live such a blessed life.
Yeah, you've missed out in the best way.
They are an evangelical political organization
Right.
based out of Colorado Springs,
Oh.
where nothing bad has happened recently.
Right.
No, there's never been.
So they have
anything bad that happened
multiple
there.
shows and such.
Yeah, so this was their fiction show for kids. They also did like some direct to video stuff, and then mostly are like publishing and
Okay.
like talk radio, kind of like, here's somebody teaching a lesson about the Bible.
Okay, so they're not
for
like on
adults.
TV, on like Bible TV, because I remember I used to, at my grandma's house, she had like those channels, and
boy.
we used to scroll through and like pass upon like a Bible man or something. And like I remember watching an episode of something that also was interestingly enough about like someone, basically like a crush, and the whole sort of lesson was like, actually persistence is good. And I remember being like, and like a guy like knocking on the door, and I'm being like, what the hell is this? But I like knew that it was bad, but like I was
Sure,
watching
sure.
it like,
You
oh,
weren't-
this is funny.
You weren't being
know?
spoon-fed this as like,
No,
hey, this is the
no,
way
no.
things ought to
We're
be. You were
spiritual. But I mean,
a
my
cynical
grandma,
kid.
right? Yeah, my grandma's a Christian woman, good Christian woman, but not, like I went to church with her, and she like taught CCD and stuff, but like it was not I was rebellious against it, of course, and I knew that my mom was not like forcing that on me, so
Sure.
so
right,
interesting.
Yeah.
But I would watch a Veggie Tale here or there.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Those
who can
rock.
fault you for that?
Those do
They
rock,
do.
right?
Yeah, they're very like, I don't know, Monty Python inspired.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
and they're
it's just
They're
very
absolutely
divisive.
hilarious. They're a laugh riot.
One of the creators came out and said that the Veggie Tales are canonically trans. I'm
That
just
is
gonna
true.
say that.
I mean, there are vegetables, of course.
Exactly. So
But
they're
the-
both also fruits.
Right,
Wow.
because a tomato and a cucumber are technically fruits,
And that's crazy.
So,
Yeah.
correct. So he was like, so they're trans.
So
And we were
interesting
like,
the conversations that we
okay.
have to have in this modern world.
Sure. I'll. You know what? I'll take what I can get. Veggies
Did
are
he
trans.
did he
I've seen
just say
so
it
many
out of the
worse things
blue,
on
or did
Twitter.
someone ask him? Like, was he just like one day
he's
like, so
very
by the way,
online.
He's
by the
very
way, the
online,
Veggie
I
Tales are
think.
trans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone was like making a snarky reply and was like, "Man, you're so woke. What's next? Trans veggies?"
He's like,
And
"Yeah,
he was like,
bro."
well, technically they're both fruit. So
Okay. Nice. Like, shout out to that guy.
No.
He's a rebel without a cause. I mean, he has a cause,
Yeah.
and it is the truth. And
We love to see
humanity.
it.
Okay.
But so the deal was with Officer Harley,
Yeah.
with our intrepid cop, was that so the creators were like, great, this is one of our guys. We're going to make him one of the 4 main characters. We're going to pull in esteemed voice actor Will Ryan to be the voice, who is Petrie in The Land Before Time.
He's really giving.
Amongst other things.
Yeah. And
we were like,
the performances are
yeah.
stellar.
Right.
You can't.
He's great. Like, he's a pro. And so they were like, great, we're going to pull him in. It's going to be solid. And then immediately parents wrote in and were like,
Why'd you make him a fucking idiot?
actually, this is teaching kids not to respect authority because this cop is goofy.
That's funny because I was kind of wondering about that. Like, I was like, this is that it was an interesting sort of character choice, and also why is he a cop and all of that. But like, did he pre-exist this episode, and like what was his character like in other episodes? Was he just
The exact
stupid
same.
in this one? Oh, okay.
Yes. No,
But he's
this
like
is-
extra
this is
stupid
his
in this,
thing.
and he's almost about to be a child molester. Like, really,
Right.
Let's get into
So
it.
they keep him
His favorite thing to
around-
do? Kind of.
really bad.
I don't know. Isn't that kind of
Why
what
is he
you alluded
hanging
to?
out with children? Is what I
He's
want to
just
know.
really up to hanging out on sidewalks and in ice cream shops. There's
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
It's not, and
That's
this is
where
what your
all the
tax
bad
dollars
things
are going
happen.
towards: perverts with too much power and a
Yep,
gun.
Let's give that man a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope that, seeing as he's mostly concerned with jaywalkers, he doesn't have a gun, but like
definitely
also,
does.
He definitely does. Yeah. That is he appeared in 20 episodes
Okay.
kind of throughout the first year of the show before the complaints had piled up to the point where they needed to write him off.
That's so. And the Valentine's Day episode was their breaking point. They're like, we cannot stand more of this.
No, so he makes it well past this episode,
Okay.
but they don't air any of his episodes again.
Oh
So they
wow.
all get yanked from circulation.
He must have been a
so
real
out of-
doof.
Out of the 52 episodes they
doofed too
produced in their
hard.
first year, because it was coming out weekly, like half of them had to be never aired again because they had this policeman who
Wow.
was
Or the
apparently
kids just
a
like
problem.
like the kids when they see a cop, they're like, ha, look at this fucking asshole.
What a dummy!
Yeah, like
So that's why we call them pigs. Okay.
yeah, right. Oh man.
They're just very intelligent lower animals. I get it.
Listen, the kids listen to what you're feeding them, they hear it. And they say, well, this man is not to be taken seriously. And the thing is the children are always right. The children are always correct in the end. That's the thing.
I wish
It
we
was
didn't have to take them seriously.
their hatred. They had they couldn't take this cop seriously, and it was starting to make them actually become radicalized against the police.
Right.
And then the parents had to. They said, no, not in my house.
Yeah, no, you can draw a
We love a
direct
militarized
line
state.
from this episode to the protests in 2020.
I mean, I would only hope so that these children were really their spirits were awakened. Hilarious history for this episode, though.
Yeah.
And he does play such a pivotal role.
Yep, and they later remade this episode, so they swapped his character out for a different one.
But he
and
was still kind of
changed,
stupid.
With a different character who could be stupid,
Right.
And they
Not a
they swapped
policeman.
out all of the. I mean, they fully re-recorded it.
That's so funny. And they were
but
like,
I
let's
was like-
keep this storyline still though.
Yeah, this is
Everything
this
else
is
about it's
gold.
good.
Yep, exactly. but I was like, we have to cover the original because
Yeah, it's pretty
I can't-
bonkers.
I have to include the goofy cop.
Yeah.
That feels like it's an essential part of this narrative.
Definitely. Thank you for giving me that privilege.
Who is this episode written by? Because I guarantee you it's a dude.
It's written by Paul McCusker.
You guys know them? You have your favorites and your least favorites?
Yeah. We tend to like Paul McCusker
Okay.
more.
What? Why?
than
What are
others.
Lower
what are the
degrees of evil.
attributes?
he tends to have he writes pretty good mysteries. Is slightly less.
I will say that it wasn't.
Evil's a good word.
Yeah, and I mean, I honestly, the way that it started, the way it's introduced before it gets into the the actual radio play of it, the way it was introduced, I was really expecting definitely way worse than what was given. Like the dialogue of it and whatever, as like corny as it may be, isn't really terrible. It's more just like the ways that the story have to go to uphold whatever weird thing they're trying to say, like
yes.
I'm like, it's like I was talking to my boyfriend. This is completely like separated, but sometimes I'm like, oh, this reboot, this stupid reboot of this show. I don't want to watch this. It was that 90s show. I'm like, ugh, that 90s show. Why? But then also, you know what? There might be really good writers that are writing on that show, and it's not their fault that the only show they can get a job on is a reboot. So maybe I'll give a shit. I'm like, it's not his fault that this is what he's writing, unless it is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No,
There's not
does
a bad writer in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's often the joke that we've made is like, it feels like Paul McCusker was granted like a wish, and it was like, I would like to be a successful writer on like a long running series, and the monkey's paw curled,
Right.
and it was like, here, you're gonna be trapped in this like Christian evangelical hellscape.
He wanted to write movies
a long time,
like character driven dramas,
Right.
and he only gets to do this. So it's not.
He does have a movie co-write credit.
Oh.
On like some
Another
like
Christian
direct
thing?
to DVD, yes,
Okay.
direct to video Christian movie starring is it John Rhys Davies? Is that Gimli? Who's
Yeah.
Who's like Salah and Gimli, who's like appears in a lot of Christian stuff because he's Christian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just like, it's one of those weird like, I don't know. Every once in a while,
Christian
you're
stuff
like,
is so
why is this
interesting.
actor in this?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, because like, right, this is like a passion project for them.
I want to see like a really like a legitimately good. I would be so interested to see what a legitimately good movie by like a Christian. I guess those exist because there are people who are like low key having their Christian narratives.
Right.
You know?
I mean, have you seen The Whale?
I actually still haven't seen The Whale.
I saw some TikTok that said that was the worst Christian movie. Like, it was horrible and incredibly unchristian, which is the opposite of what Dylan just told me. And I am in your camp. I haven't seen it yet.
Interesting.
So, like, I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I'm very liberal as far as Christianity is concerned.
Yeah.
So I have a strong feeling the video I saw was not. But
Right.
Yeah. I found the themes that Aronofsky's playing around with there compelling, but like Aronofsky's one of those where it's like his last 3 movies have been like have been low-key Christian, but also ones that no Christian would enjoy.
Right. He's also just like still edgelord. You know what I mean? In his ways.
For sure.
And
then
yeah.
you also have like your Paul Schrader,
Right.
like First Reformed is
Right.
like, it's a Christian movie essentially, but like,
they're not like
he's not a
branding
Christian
themselves as so.
filmmaker.
That's where I'm just like, would I be tricked if you didn't brand it up my nose or
right.
whatever? I'm like, would I know?
Yep.
Maybe I wouldn't.
Right.
Well,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it works with music. I jammed to many a Christian rock band. Lifehouse, are you kidding me? Did not have a clue because it was just music, beautiful music.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Bring on the Reliant K, the Switchfoot. Like,
And that's the
absolutely.
thing. I will say at times in the little play, I wasn't necessarily thinking of it. I'm like, oh, that's what I was surprised by, of that. It was just like, oh, this is a weird little like scenes in this life. It's whatever,
Right.
And then she comes in and she's like, by the way, Jesus,
For sure. There are parts of this episode that feel very like Charlie Brown.
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
More than like, yeah.
It's those little
More than-
kids.
It's the whole
Like-
sorry.
Well, I was just going to say more than like Bible Man or
Right.
whatever.
Right. Like it's not as overt.
Yeah.
You
Are
know.
you familiar with like the Christian media diet culture and all of that?
Like
Do you have any
not
awareness of?
I would say very tangentially.
Oh,
but,
I know,
like-
not necessarily, but like you know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's this weird genre in that they want to do everything that secular culture is doing
but with
at
Jesus.
the same time, and then just throw Jesus in at the end.
Yeah, that is always how it is, isn't it?
I mean, it's not always, because the other option is that it's shoehorned the plot around the moral, and it's the other way.
Right.
And it can be equally bad. And I would say that this show, like us going through all these episodes and whatnot, like, there are a couple examples of where they find the between.
It does. Yeah. Okay. So Paul's a guy that's maybe a little more subtle with it.
Yes.
Right.
He's a little bit more sly. He's radical.
Phil Lawler feels like
Phil.
We hate Phil Lawler on this podcast.
He's
very
Boo,
online.
Phil.
He sucks.
Everybody hates Phil.
Exactly.
Exactly. He feels like a guy who comes in with a moral and then shapes the story around that.
Right.
Whereas McCusker feels like he's like, I've got a story, and then he's like, and I guess we got to sprinkle
about
some
first
Christian
crushes.
stuff in here,
Right?
Because otherwise, like, I don't have money to make this thing.
Right, exactly. I hear you. Respect to him. It's a hustle. It's a hustle out here. Okay.
Well, and
even
Paul,
doing it for God.
McCusker went from like hardcore evangelical to Catholic, so he did the reverse jump,
He flipped it
if
and
you
reversed
will.
it. Wow.
He traveled upstream.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, it's the way that people usually go when they have no hope or answers. It's further up. I feel like it's just a common theme that I personally have.
Yeah, no,
observed.
that's true. No.
When you're at a
the
breaking
Irish
point.
people come from.
Yeah, those banshees of
Inishirin.
I can't say that word, so I just say banshees.
Yeah, you could look. Everyone knows what Banshees is.
You know what I'm talking about. So how did this rank on your episodes? Like, did this rank pretty high? Was this a pretty hot one, or do you?
I mean,
I'm like, what tier of quality am I getting here?
I feel like you're getting like maybe upper mid.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like it's not a great episode by any means, but it was also one where I was like, this is fairly unobjectionable. There are some big things that we will get into that are wild.
Yeah.
But a lot of it just kind of feels like
par for the course.
It doesn't necessarily feel like Christian culture as much as it just feels like 80s culture.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
Very
Especially
that.
with all the Foley work and like
I loved
and
it.
the soundtrack and the like, are they like wind chimes or what are the like the very airy
there were
sounding pipes
some really questionably placed music cues in that, and we'll get to that later as well. But I do feel like it had a full world sound to it, and I was like, listen, they just don't make them like this anymore.
No, they really don't.
With those little kid voices, oh my God, listen, those kids are good. Mm-hmm. Are they really kids? I don't even know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're all really kids, right? Or not?
So you have you have those 4 like main adult characters, and then basically everyone else in these early episodes is either someone who works as like a writer on the show filling in as an adult,
right,
or it's a literal child voicing a literal child.
The kids are great. The kids are definitely very good. I was like, that's like, and of course my stupid like world brain, I'm just like, I wonder how much they were paid for this voiceover.
Yeah. Dude, I think about it too.
I mean, they're
Not
good
enough.
though. The kids are definitely they're very natural. They're grounded. They're better than I thought they'd be.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's audio probably helps. I can imagine that's easier to get a natural performance out of a kid behind a mic than on screen.
Right.
There's just so many fewer variables.
I was really feeling for Bobby. He was really going through it, you know?
Oh yeah. Very compelling characters.
Yeah.
The kids are probably the best part about the show, I think.
Yeah, the kids rocked, I do
holistically.
think. I mean, I cannot believe that one of those kids' name was Jeff. That made me laugh every time. Why is his name got to be Jeff? I know that sometimes adults whose names are Jeff, they have to grow up. Their children at some point and their name is Jeff, but for that kid to be named Jeff, come on. And at some point she's like, come on, Jeff, or something. I'm like, you cannot be serious.
Oh my god.
Right. No, you've gotta like
nice
grow
to
up
him.
with a middle name or something if you're a
Dylan.
Jeff.
Or you go by
Dylan.
Jeffrey. Like Jeffrey's
Jeffrey's,
young
I
enough.
think, better for a child. Jeff sounds like a divorcee, you know?
Jeffrey has kind of like a faux sophistication where you're like, oh, it's cute
Yeah.
that your name is Jeffrey.
Yeah.
When it's Jeff, it's like,
weird.
wait, huh?
Yeah.
It's I'm not a fan of that choice, but but whatever.
Not my kid.
Yeah, exactly.
I name all my kids Margaret and Agnes, exclusively old person names.
Yeah, definitely. Barbara.
Yeah.
Looking at my notes. Interesting. Okay.
All right. I think I'm gonna roll the promo
Please
now,
do.
and then we can
yes.
get into
Do
the discussion at hand. I have no idea how we have the 15-second promo for this because the episode aired once in 1988.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
Someone hopped on it.
I don't know. But here we go.
Next time on Odyssey USA, a girl named Amy Duran finds out that liking someone a lot doesn't necessarily mean they'll like you back.
That's like not true. I'm like, first of all, the stories about Bobby, he's really like the point of view that we're going along with. And like, he's actually, if I could revise, it'd be like a boy named Bobby realizes someone having a crush on him is weird and he doesn't know how to deal with it. Next time on.
I mean,
am I wrong?
No, that is the pitch of this episode.
Yeah, they're lying. They're trying to make it about like the future is female. That's a lie. That was a
misdirect.
Exactly. Revisionist history.
Yeah.
Oh man, but the episode doesn't even start with Bobby because we have to do this wild intro.
So crazy.
So the creators love the Twilight Zone. And so I like this. Chris is Rod Serling, I guess. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah,
and
that's really funny. That's a good. That's the comparison.
Shit.
Yeah.
So it starts with two questions that I'd like to pose to the two of you. Have you ever had a crush on someone who wouldn't pay attention to you?
Oh, girl, literally all the time. All right. Up until approximately 2 years ago, yes, exclusively, girlfriend. Why are you asking? Why are you making me feel bad?
Oh man.
Made a podcast about it.
Dylan, please.
Oh no, this has never happened to me.
Not once.
No, this is definitely still my constant experience.
Yeah, that's
to be clear.
Exclusively his experience.
I am not as privileged as the two of you to have,
Listen, it took a long time, and I had to go through a revolution to find love. Okay, I met him amidst the chaos of fighting against the police, like Mr. Officer Harley. Actually, so I'm biased in
Fight
this.
the power.
But fight the power and find love.
So whereas Officer Harley tears them apart in this episode, the police brought you together.
Oh God, I hate to say it like that, but yes, it's actually true.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have faith. Don't worry.
Andrew, have you had a crush on someone who wouldn't pay attention to you?
No.
Yeah,
I really don't
what
think
I was
so.
afraid of.
And I was thinking about it,
crazy.
like, I've had plenty of crushes on people that don't like me back, but not that won't pay attention to me or, like, have no interest in me whatsoever. That's just never happened.
Interesting.
Even, like, my secret, like, crush since first grade, like, always been into this girl. Yeah, I never told her my feelings, and we're still just friends.
Well, that's maybe why.
Exactly.
Is she going to listen to this episode, Andrew? Is she going to
Who
find
did you
out?
relate to
I
more?
highly doubt it.
But listen,
Do you want me to text her this episode? Because I do know who we're talking about.
No,
who did you relate to more?
I
Did you
don't?
relate to
No.
Amy or
Oh,
did
okay.
you relate to Bobby? Did you relate to Bobby or did you relate to Amy in this story?
Oh no, Amy. I'm totally an Amy. In this
Okay,
situation.
so you're actually
Yeah.
lying
Yeah.
then. You're doing lying.
What?
Amy's the
Excuse
one
me?
who's being ignored. So you have to explore that.
What do you
Okay,
have to
but
say
I
to
don't
that,
want to
Andrew?
spoil it.
So the second question, we'll let you dwell on that. but the
I'm
second question
devastated.
Chris asks,
I'm a narcissist. I think I just got diagnosed.
Well,
It's okay. We
that
all have to
did
realize
know.
at some point. We have podcasts, you know.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
The second question Chris poses is, or maybe someone had a crush on you and wouldn't leave you alone. Is this anyone's experience? Andrew says yes.
Yeah, so Andrew's like, I'm a Chad, I'm a hot boy.
No,
and
I'm not.
this
I'm the
is
human
always
equivalent of a
happening to
teddy
people
bear.
who are always chasing me, trying to get me to love them and stuff. For me, I'm gonna have to say no. I cannot recall a moment like this.
Yeah.
No. Okay, Dylan, you could. I can't talk about myself in this way because I feel like a narcissist.
Go with it.
In youth group, I pulled Mad Tail.
Wow,
Not in
king of youth group, dangerous position.
Not in like a gross like people.
Not in a
hopper
literal
type.
sense.
No. More so serial long-term monogamous relationship guy.
Everyone just dated you. Ring around.
He dated everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I did have the pastor's wife tell me that everybody in the youth group had a crush on me at one point or another.
Oh, and that's high status.
I also had that.
What?
However, I never dated anyone in
Why
high school.
didn't
Well,
you?
one person, but that was very short term. Look, I'll come on your podcast and talk about it sometime.
Yeah,
Rebecca.
right. Were you shy?
But yeah, as far as someone having a crush on me and not leaving me alone, I'm with you, Rebecca. That never happened to me.
People have definitely left me alone.
Usually, my experience was person comes to me, says they have a crush on me, a day passes, and now
Yeah.
I have a crush on them.
And then
Do
what
I
comes
act
of
on
it?
that crush? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But it's there now.
And it exists.
For a long time, I was like, am I actually attracted to like people in the abstract, or do I only like those who first express an interest?
Well, you have to feel safe enough to. That's what it is. You're waiting to feel safe enough to express love. So if they express it first, then you can be like, well, maybe I do like you. That's my theory after many hours of podcasting on the subject.
You're absolutely right. And I don't like. I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us. Self included. Yeah, they really went real with it straight up in the beginning. They were like, whoa, I was not
Straight to the
anticipating
camera.
this.
This will be
Attack.
relatable to our audience of like target
8 to 12?
demographic 8 to 12.
Yes. They're like, Valentine's Day is confusing, actually.
I don't know who to give my Valentines to. I mean, there's
Right.
all these shoe boxes, and I get to walk around, but it's just a lot of pressure for me.
I mean,
I'm not speaking for personal experience at all. That
No.
never caused a panic attack for me. Nope.
I feel like it was just school policy. You give Valentines to everyone, and then it wasn't a thing.
I'm
I think
like,
I ever actually
I
gave
did
someone
have
like
both.
a proper Valentine.
yeah, I don't think I don't know. I don't think I did. I was too scared for sure, probably. But I think I gave out, like, I probably gave out SpongeBob ones, you know, sort of like, you know, keeping it low key, keeping it pretty, keeping it funny. You got to keep it funny.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
For sure.
This is about this is for the laughs, you know, nothing
yeah.
crazy.
I think I always went Disney characters. I feel like that was safe.
Yeah.
Mine were homemade, but
That's
beautiful.
his mother.
From the
His
heart.
mother
that's
is
my mom's incredible, and she gets full credit for that. And
Katrina. We
She's a
salute
crafty
her.
mom.
yeah, for sure. She had a stamp collection.
Oh,
and
that's
like
amazing.
a container full of different colored cardstock.
She said, "We will
So-
be prepared for the holidays." Every single one.
Yeah, no, I mean it's no joke. Their holiday rituals, like I thought that my families were fairly extensive.
Yeah.
No, got nothing on the Weavers.
Okay.
Look, we like tradition.
Yeah,
That's
they do.
amazing. As you
But-
should. If you have them.
So,
It's because his family's
exactly.
been there for what? How many hundreds?
oh gosh,
years?
yeah, I don't know. In the same rough geographical area since before there was a country.
Wow, you have
So,
roots. Oh my God.
I do have roots.
Like,
What
to
if
be
you
clear,
have money?
it was
More.
still white settlers. To be very clear, it was not like
What, you're
we're
not
going back
indigenous?
that far.
I didn't.
But-
I didn't know. Okay, guys, you heard it here first. Dylan himself is a colonizer.
Yep.
Yep.
Hate to break it to you all. No, I'm just kidding.
He himself. Honestly, I can't leave any land around him because he'll just snatch it
Just
right on
snatching
up.
it left and right. Oh my God.
It's in my blood. What can I do?
just
I
be
can't
snatching
deny
land.
myself in that way.
You have avoided accountability for far too long.
Oh man. Speaking of accountability,
Yeah, let's
the
get
worst
into it.
kind of accountability is the public humiliation that this child in the intro experiences.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
a segue?
Yes.
I think it is. I think it is definitely.
Which is cute girl passes him note. He's disgusted by note, and then the teacher picks up the note and reads it to the class.
I mean, this teacher.
That's
I hate when adults are doing this willful ignorance, around children, and then making their lives suffer.
Yeah,
Right.
making
This
children
teacher
the
was
butt
terrible
of the
for
joke
that.
is always
Yeah.
a good idea.
And it's like, I'm sorry, you know what's going on, okay, teacher? Don't play dumb.
Right.
Like,
Right.
why would you do this? This is Paul's trauma. It's Paul's trauma.
Anytime an adult is intentionally embarrassing or like
Yeah.
ridiculing a child, like what is going on here? Like that person has some stuff they got to work out.
Yeah.
because-
This was
But, like-
triggering for me, definitely many experiences.
Oh, okay. You were.
Not of this particular thing, but just like of adults embarrassing me. I'm like, oh my God, what's your problem?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, get a life.
Yeah, or like it
Mind
feels
your
very
own
much in the
business.
same vein of like young child has a friend who is the opposite sex, and the parents are like, "Ooh, is this your girlfriend?"
Yeah.
and it's like, what's happening here? What are we doing?
Yeah, like don't be gross. And why are you being a pervert, basically?
Yeah. Yep.
Basically, adults stop being perverts, and a
you know,
lot of
you heard
adults
it
in this
here
are kind of being
first.
pervs. In
Been
this
saying
episode,
it
not
for
gonna lie.
years.
we're coming out strong as an anti-pervert podcast.
Yeah, geez Louise, how often do I have to say it?
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, which, speaking of which, we then get Chris giving us the backstory of Saint Valentine.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Which she explains as a good Christian man who was very popular with children.
Which, what does that mean? I don't want to know. I don't want to
Yeah,
know more of what you're talking about.
Lots of priests were popular with children.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really giving.
I
It's suspicious.
it's really concerning. And then we talk about like
He did
yeah,
drive all the
because
snakes out of Ireland, though, didn't he?
that's Patrick. Oh, it's Ireland.
Yeah, nope. Wrong holiday. God
I'm like,
damn it.
hey, could be. I don't know. I don't know what those people were doing about those snakes.
Andrew, that's your heritage.
I know. I feel so ashamed.
But yeah, she's like very casual, like, so he's this popular guy, and then she's like, and by the way, he goes to jail. Like,
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, the carceral system is everywhere. I can't get one evangelical radio show through without jail mentioned.
Right, but in this case, he's wrongfully convicted,
Of
unlike all
course.
those jaywalkers later on.
Yes.
Right. That's so crazy to think about. Just like,
Like, they're like, Rome, what an oppressive government. America, nah, it's only oppressive when it's like, I
Just
can't
like
carry my gun around.
real
Like,
high level advanced hypocrisy just going on at every turn.
Yeah. That's a very good summation of the show.
Yeah. And she says it in her like really nice voice, like he was wrong. He went to jail because he wouldn't worship the
Their
gods that they asked
gods.
him to.
But even while he was in jail, children kept sending him notes according to legend, and that's how we got the tradition today. And I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not.
Absolutely not.
That's so
Why are you
crazy.
trying to make passing love notes Christian?
No,
And,
they
like-
want kids to write in and write Valentines to send to Focus on the Family at Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Well, what my favorite thing was when her transition to the story. What'd she say? I think I wrote it down. Where it was like 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 there was
Here's a
someone else
kid.
who got notes, but he didn't go to jail. Like as if the thing that you know about jail is like, oh yeah, jail, famous for passing notes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
people who pass notes, they've probably been to jail. Like or something, you know, like that's
Yeah,
really bizarre. That's really forced there.
Yep, it makes no discernible sense
At all.
It's really bizarre. And the
And kids do not pass notes anymore. They all just
Oh.
text each other.
It's a lost art,
that's
though.
a dark timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
I still find old notebooks and like notes that I was writing with my friend in like the margin, and like that's great. I love that. I'm like, oh my god, what It's just like me like literally being drama about a boy or something. Like you don't have that anymore. You can't stumble upon that.
Yeah. Well, unless you do it on Facebook Messenger, in which
Yeah,
case,
I mean
that's
that I
there
have
forever,
done. That I
which
actually
is-
have done, and I do want to burn it all to the ground. It's pretty bad, bad stuff, but fun.
Oh
funny.
yeah,
Just
I've
another
uncovered
reason
some-
to burn the lizard.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's it's wild for them to try and make the like most blatantly commercial capitalist holiday into a Christian thing.
No, it makes perfect
Especially
sense.
the way that like the whole
In the worst way.
The story is just like being a story, and then the story ends and you're sort of like, what was the lesson? And then she like tells you what the lesson was supposed to be, and I'm like, that's not what that's not what that was about.
Nope.
She's just like, and by the way, because of Jesus. And I'm like, what are you talking about, lady? Like it's so shoehorned, just like the whole thing is, you know, to like fit the
Yep.
narrative that like, no, this is actually about Jesus Christ.
So 80s. Yeah, it's certainly something, and the fact that it only aired once just makes it all the more just amalgamous, because I listened to many episodes of the show, never heard this one.
Yeah.
So
So do you know these characters though? So it's Bobby and what's her name? And Amy Duran.
Yeah. And
Why does
Jeff.
she have a
Can't
last?
forget
And Jeff. Can't forget Jeff. And you have
Well, I don't know. Some children are just first name, last name people in
Right.
your head.
That's true.
I
Amy
feel like
Duran
Amy
is a good
Duran
name.
when he says it, I'm like, I had my version of that
but
for
but
sure.
like, do you know Bobby from previous stories? What's his story? He
No.
he clearly doesn't want a girlfriend because he doesn't like this.
no,
Yeah.
Bobby is serving something other than straightness. If we can get into that.
Aw, I love Bobby. I have a sweet spot for Bobby in my
No,
heart.
me
He just wants to
too.
do the right thing.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
He does.
Everybody's
Yep.
leading him astray.
Telling him to
Yeah.
throw mud. Why?
So
yeah,
many times.
that was Jeff, right? Jeff is a real rapscallion.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. You know when you have a crush and
rapscallion.
you want to get rid of them, throw mud at their faces, you know.
No,
I think and that comes up a lot. Gazebos and mud throwing.
Yep, we got rules of 3 here.
Yeah, definitely. They're in play.
Yeah. But the kids during this first year were mostly like one-off. Like I think because they were using child actors and probably not really paying them,
Right.
they just cycled through them pretty quickly. Amy and Bobby, I believe, do both have like other episodes they're in, but again, so many episodes from this first year were removed from circulation
Yeah.
that they aren't characters I know. But David Griffin, who voices Bobby, goes on to voice Jimmy Barkley, who is one of like the main kids in the show.
Okay. He was strong. They kept him on the roster.
Yeah, once they establish like this is our core kids who we actually like let come back,
Yeah.
David Griffin does continue to voice a character. And
That's the
actually
dream. That's what I'm looking for. David Griffin's living the dream.
Yeah. I mean, David Griffin seems to have turned out pretty well given how deep he was in it during this era.
Yeah.
He's done. He is not he's not a fan of Focus on the Family. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that is
Interesting.
great.
Wonder why.
Yeah. But yeah, and in the remake of this episode, it is rather than Bobby, it is his character Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes
they
sense.
re-record the lines.
Like, oh
and
my God,
everything,
this is
but-
happening the first time to me, actually.
Right. Yeah. Just right. Weird deja vu. If you had listened to this on the air the one time it came out, and then years later,
Wait, I
listened to it
remember this
again.
quandary. Is that a word? Quandary? Is that the right use of that?
Yeah,
I don't think so. Sometimes
You know
I use
what?
words and I
I'll
forget.
take
Yeah. This absolute just mess of a situation that these children have got themselves into. When
Yeah.
she
But
said...
This is common though. Like I worked at an elementary school and I heard all of the relationship drama amongst like the kids because for some reason they wanted to tell me. And this sounded very accurate as to something that I've seen.
Totally. I mean, I've had I think like 104 episodes of my podcast. I've heard iterations of this story many times, and that's what's so funny about some of the lines in this, because like, you know, not to like skip to the end, but like you know, he's basically trying to deal with how should I tell this girl that I don't want her to have a crush on me or whatever, or that I'm uncomfortable. And he says the line of like, I don't want to damage you for life. And it's like, yeah, it's true. That will damage you for life. I know it for a fact. And there's like a line that
how healthy that is.
No, like the ice cream man, I think it was the ice cream man. He was saying how like, he was saying something about how, just he thinks the best thing is to let it pass. You know, it's like, well, it'll probably like, what if it doesn't pass for months or years? And it's like, well, probably not years. I'm like, no, definitely years. I have many podcast episodes to support the theory that a crush like this can last for years, if not dealt
about.
with.
I didn't have a crush that lasted longer than a decade.
Yeah, right. On someone like just the stupidest, just like proximity crush, you know, like. I mean, it was just funny to listen to in that like angle, obviously, you know. But that line was really funny to me. Like, I don't want to damage her for life. I'm like, at least he's considering that, because it's more than I would expect from many boys that I've interacted with.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we start too. Like Bobby is such a like sweet kid.
He's a good kid, yeah.
Like with good intentions, and then there's Jeff,
who's a real, you know, I hate to say it, but he's a d-
100%.
He's a bit of a d- maybe that's why his name is Jeff, because it's kind of like, what the hell, Jeff?
Yeah.
Come on, get out of here, Jeff.
Yeah. This is not what I signed up for.
But I do think there was another girlie who's like probably a little horny for Jeff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, Jeff.
Yeah, well, because there's a girl who gives Jeff, or multiple girls give Jeff Valentine's Day cards, and he says he returned them with a wad of gum in the middle.
He's just like a really rude dude that unfortunately the girls are like, I have to like him because he's so rude to me, you know, because that's the other part of it. That's part of, you know, this whole situation is maybe if he doesn't like me, or she tries to do the ignoration tactic, as I call it, on him, which it's funny to bring up, just like it's just like negging, you know.
Yeah, it's for sure negging.
Yeah, definitely that. But a lot of violence on the boys' parts. Jeff really, really wants him to just throw mud at this girl to get her out of here. And a police officer does agree. Huh?
So presumably
maybe
they're
at
inside?
recess he wants her to throw mud inside.
Yeah.
Just be a true nuisance. Well, and it's like, and Jeff's not even nice towards Bobby. Like, it's like he and Bobby, it feels very much like a friendship between two young boys, but like Bobby's talking
Jeff's like
about
the popular bad boy, and Bobby's like the actually nice one, you know, that's attached to this guy because they've known each other. They grown up, you know, down the block.
Right. And they're like sitting there, and there's like, you know, and they're bantering about like the cafeteria food.
Right.
And Jeff, who's privileged and has a mom who packs him a lunch, is just going on and on about how bad the food that Bobby is eating looks. And Bobby's
this
like,
is
look,
where
man,
I'm like,
I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Listen, this is where I'm like, it might be good writing, because look at how much information we've gotten from just this episode alone about these in-depth characters.
Right. They're well established.
But yeah, from the start, Bobby is like, this is annoying that this girl is liking me and I don't like it. but he is trying to do the right thing by doing something.
Trying.
He just doesn't know what, which is honestly to this day a valid question. A good valid question. What do you do when someone has a crush on you? It's never, it's actually still, even as an adult, not a good straightforward answer. You know what I mean? Like, there is not the full answer of like, what do you do always in every situation? It always sucks.
Yes.
And that's the thing. What the ice cream guy is talking about of just let it pass. That's basically a ghosting situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just,
like why?
It'll fade. It'll fade for them. You know, the petering out. Nothing changes.
Yeah, so what Bobby explains to Jeff that he got a note from Amy.
Right.
And from Amy Duran, and he is not into it. And Jeff is also like, "Oh yeah, wow, she's gross." And he's like, "Yeah, she wrote like a poem." And he's like, "Ew, why girls are so weird."
Right. Do we know how old they're supposed to be in this actually?
No idea.
Because I'm just realizing right now that I don't know how old they're actually supposed to be, but they sound like young, but I'm like, how
I'm pitching
young?
like
Like
mid
how,
to late elementary feels right.
Right.
This
It's a
sounds
beautiful
like fourth
poem
grade.
from her. She's very smart for her age.
Right. There's the and they even get into the whole girls mature faster thing.
That's
later
true.
on.
And they
But-
have too many nerves.
Wonderfully explained by a man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's this weird like it's I don't know, it feels real of just like these are young kids to the point where they're like girls are still gross, which isn't a phase that I ever had.
Nah, me
Oh,
neither.
my
But
brother had. My brother's 15 and he's still like he had this basically exact sort of thing, like where I recently like a girl liked him and he's just like, ugh, why? He's just like over. He's just like no, thank you. Like I'm just trying to do my thing over here. Like please leave me alone. So definitely a very real thing, and it takes a while for some people.
Yeah, very.
And that's where Bobby's
lucky.
at. Bobby's not trying to date nobody.
No, Bobby's a strong, independent person. He's just balling out in fourth grade, trying to get by like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, they go back. This is where Jeff first suggests to throw mud on her to get rid of her. And Bobby's like, I don't know. I'm just going to like meet her after school and we'll, at Wits End and we'll talk about it. And Wits End, to establish, is the name of the ice cream shop. John Avery Whitaker
that
is
makes
the
sense.
ice cream man. And
Very
his
full
nickname
world.
is Wit.
Okay.
And his shop is called Wits End.
And he's the wise guy.
He's God.
Yes.
Is he God? Okay, yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
He is very much the stand-in for God. He is the main character of the show, ostensibly.
And he's a cookie inventor also, which is a fun little attribute.
And a spy, and he
he can do everything. Okay.
Right. He's an archaeologist.
The man
he
of the
works for
world.
The NSA. He owns an encyclopedia company.
He didn't really. I do think he gave
His
the
wife
best
died,
advice, but
so,
it still
he's
wasn't
got a lot of free
perfect
time.
advice. Oh, his wife died.
Yeah,
Oh,
it really
that's
sucks.
terrible.
Yeah,
Rest
poor
in
Jamie.
peace.
Yeah. And
how he knows
we didn't
answers
mention
now.
this at the top, but just so you can just to peel back the curtain, this show is still airing.
Oh my God! Really?
This is episode 13. They are currently approaching episode 1000.
Oh my! Where is it? Where do people listen to it?
So
is it like on the
still
radio?
airs on Christian radio, on a weekly basis. Although new episodes, I think they only do like 12 a year. But
Okay,
still
are you
comes
guys
out.
going chronologically, or have you ever listened to a newer version?
So we've jumped around a lot.
Because I gotta know, like, what is this episode if they do it now? Like, he texted me, you know?
Yeah, it's not better.
No.
Yeah, it can't be. It can't be.
It's worse.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it's worse, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. It's
They've established themselves. They are titans of the industry.
So they started off super Christian, and then they like faded a little bit because they had so much world building done, and they kind of got into like a Simpsons era for a bit. And then
interesting.
There was like cast leaving, people dying off and such, and so they needed to like do a soft reboot for album 50, and then ever since it's been like hyper Christian, hyper evangelical, focus on the family.
They're like, we're gonna get
pipeline.
this back in order.
Yeah. Dad's coming home
In
and he's
Jesus'
mad.
order. Yeah. God will see this work. And he will be proud.
He will be so proud.
Wow, how interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre.
I know too much about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is
Probably.
we're over 200 episodes into this show.
That's crazy. Oh my God!
Which,
Congratulations.
Ill-advised, but we'll kill it off eventually.
He kills me off eventually. It's actually the way the show ends.
Oh man. Or
Fingers crossed.
or you get murdered by maybe somebody else and it becomes a mystery.
Ooh.
And I keep doing the show, but
Only
yeah.
murders
It becomes
in the podcast?
exactly.
Isn't that show already about a podcast?
It actually is,
No,
definitely.
I believe that would be a podcast.
But you're
making fun of
just
a
like
show
Steve
about-
Martin and Martin Short. You know, you can have your own. And you got a little Selena Gomez in there as well.
There you go.
Wow.
Oh man.
Well,
I wonder
rest in
if
peace,
Selena
early
has
rest in
any
peace.
Odyssey experience. I doubt it.
Is she
What did you
Christian?
say?
I said I
They-
wonder if
yeah,
Selena
they're
has
Christian,
any
right?
Odyssey experience. I
Oh,
feel
that's
like
true.
they are.
They're yeah. She's not
They
any-
all or something.
Yeah, who knows? Well, because was that Bieber runoff or is because Justin Bieber is Christian?
I think her family, probably her family. She probably grew up
yeah.
Christian, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, Katy Perry did.
Oh my God, Katy
Oh, yeah.
Perry. What a chick.
Uh-huh.
What a lady.
She's a Christian.
Anyway.
Yeah, Gomez says in Vogue.
There you go.
Great.
I'm very, very spiritual.
I'm going to be
she
the first
says.
non-Christian star.
I believe I'm not religious. I've been a Christian for a while now. I don't talk about it too much. I want to,
Yeah.
but it's gotten a bad rap.
Exactly.
Fair. And you know what? She keeps just doing wonderful things. I would like more of her cooking show.
I watched her chef show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned from it. I did. I enjoyed it.
Delightful.
I enjoyed it because I can't cook. So I'm like, I feel like her. So
Yeah.
I'm, like, I'm learning.
Yeah, no, I like to pretend that I can, and then I make a mistake, and I go, oh no.
And then you
But,
cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really rough.
Oh man. So we cut to Amy, and she is sitting in at the counter at Wit's End.
So that would have been me. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Amy, and we're yeah. So she's sitting there, and Connie, who is a high school student,
Okay. I was going to say she
she's
sounded
like
older.
15, I think, at this
Right.
point in the show. She is giving Amy advice and is basically like, well, she comes in and she's like, you've been looking at that milkshake for an hour. What gives?
Yeah, I thought that was a cute little line. I was like, he's having
Squashed
some
ice
fun.
cream is
Yeah, you remember that
hilarious.
smushed ice cream I didn't know smushed ice cream could be so fascinating. I was like, she's performing. Go off.
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, get it.
I will have to say that I did think that Amy Duran was like kind of iconic mostly throughout until a turn at the end. You know, she was kind of giving iconic vibes to me.
Oh, yeah.
But
She knows what she wants. Now,
exactly.
Is
She's
that
a
always
strong
good?
woman.
No. Like, is her desire always something she should pursue? No.
No,
But-
she needs to consider other perspectives.
But she's so
she's
like
passionate.
self-aware, and she's writing all this stuff down. So like, I think that she is fully aware of her own development at this point, and just knows that like, yeah,
She's a strong, independent woman.
I'm a strong, independent
She's
women in
like,
fourth
these boys
grade.
can
and
catch up while they
It's
can.
Bobby
Yeah.
2 weeks, and then it's Harley for 1 day, and then it's
Yeah. She's let's say it. She's a Rebecca of her times until
until
I will say.
But yeah, well, and they have this cute banter where Connie's like, "Ooh, are you crushing on someone?" She's like, "Crushes are for little kids."
I'm a woman.
Right, and Connie's
I'm
like,
in
"No, crushes
love."
can happen to anybody, believe me."
Crushes are eternal, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep. What, they don't go away when you're in a committed relationship?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Like, I still have who do I have a crush on in TV? Pedro Pascal. I have a crush on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
Sure.
I would be
understand.
naive to say that no crushes exist anymore, but I have a crush on my boyfriend too.
Yeah.
It's possible, actually. I've answered the question for myself. Sometimes more than others.
Yeah.
When he's cooking me,
Andrew?
he cooked really good dinner last night. I have a crush on him so bad for that,
There you go.
No, yeah.
You know what? Andrew, any celebrities you're crushing on currently?
Most of them are bisexual. it's
There's
quite hard to
so
find
many.
the bad ones.
Everybody is famous and attractive. That's the thing about
Yeah,
them.
no,
When they're famous, they're usually
That's fair.
attractive.
I really want to give Rob McElhenney a good kiss on the lips.
Yeah, he's really hot.
He's
always been
like
hot.
like a little short prince, and I love him.
Oh yeah, he's short, isn't he?
I think
They're
he's
all
like
short.
5'7". Yeah,
Dude, they're all shorter. Like I could tell you stories, and the story is they're all short.
They're all shorter. They
the
say
beginning
they're
and the end of the
taller,
story.
They're not.
If you think they're
story.
taller, they're the only people who aren't short are people who are like known for being tall. Then
Exactly.
they're
Sure.
tall.
Adam
Sure.
Driver.
John
When they're
Hamm.
Yeah, like
Yep.
they're tall. Nicholas
you-
Braun,
Yeah.
tall.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Elizabeth
rest of them
Debicki,
short.
tall.
tall.
Isn't
tall
Anya
lady.
Taylor-Joy pretty tall as well?
I don't know. She gives off
She gives
tall,
tall.
energy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've ever seen her
think
height.
I'm
The
Googling
other, who's
I just
the one who
looked this
plays
up.
her counterpart in Last Night in Soho? Because she is tall.
Didn't see it.
I mean, you're
Didn't see
probably
it,
not
hate to
missing
say it.
much, but Thomasin McKenzie is tall.
Yes, but they look the same, right?
Right.
Or do they?
Right,
Yeah.
and they're playing the same character, kind of, in that movie.
Yes.
That movie is. That movie's weird. I don't know. I like Edgar Wright. I like.
It's a lot for him
that
to be
movie
delving
up-
into, I think.
Yeah, I like that movie up to a point, and then it just becomes too much.
As a lot of things, same same, observation. Sometimes people do a little bit more than they should.
You hit a threshold.
Yeah.
Right,
Certainly.
but like also
Like the
he
menu,
gave us Scott
at some point
Pilgrim,
I'm like,
so
why
I
are we
must
doing
stand.
this? Yeah, exactly. You can't discount. I'm like, everyone has a flop or two. Everyone
Right, come on now.
has room for a flop and a half,
Right. Right. Everybody makes a heist
I flop
movie
nearly
with
every
multiple
day.
sex criminals.
Yeah.
know?
That's a flop,
It's just a thing. It happens.
Some would call it an L.
Yeah, it's a flop. It's an L. It happens to the best of us. Some people it happens more.
And it also ought to happen to the worst of us as well.
That's true.
Fingers crossed.
And
Looking at
sometimes they
you,
don't flop, or they
Ticketmaster.
don't flop soon enough. Anyways,
Name a perfect man. You can't do it.
Riz Ahmed. That's just the first one that came to my mind. But
Is
I don't
Donald
take it
Glover a
back.
good person?
I think he has problems.
Does
There's
he?
Problems with him.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool,
I think
cool.
so.
Cool.
I feel like you can't be that talented and not.
Yeah, no, yeah. That was gonna be my thing of like.
Yeah, I mean,
there
like,
might be
he's a
still
troubled
some hope
genius.
for
Like,
us.
there's definitely genius, but everyone genius is flawed. Inherently. But not Riz Ahmed. He's perfect.
Yeah.
He's little. He's so little.
Love it. You see,
I
you
love
watch
him.
him.
That's
you
a
watch
short
him,
guy.
present the Oscars.
I saw little clips. I said, he's so cute.
He's adorable.
Anyways.
No, this is the podcast. This is
Yeah,
what we're here
right.
to talk about.
Crushes.
Hey, way to bring it back.
These notes look like the notes of a crazy person. The notes on this.
Mine.
just
I've been doing this for
sporadic
4
thoughts.
years. They're no better. I guarantee you.
I just have one that says, "Arrest my crush, please, officer."
Yep.
Which is something that's kind of part of this script. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he gets Bobby gets advice from Harley.
He runs into Officer Harley on the street, and
Said,
they
"Ah, it's
have
this
a
guy."
rapport.
Yeah.
And Harley knows who Amy is.
Because he just knows all the kids from the block, because that's super normal. Super.
Yep, very healthy and not at all problematic.
And yeah, I mean, the cop does proceed to act like an absolute doof.
Yep.
He's like, did you try actually ignoring her and throwing mud at her?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what
we
Jeff
used to
said.
We used to always dip girls' pigtails in an inkwell.
She doesn't have pigtails or whatever.
How old is he?
Yeah,
How old?
he doesn't want you to know, because then he would get in legal trouble.
Yeah.
I'm just like, he went to school when there were inkwells?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then doesn't he make a callback to that at some point? He says, "Oh, gotta go find an inkwell or something." I was like, honestly, walking in a train was going above a head. I was like, "Is that what he said?" Very, very interesting.
Excuse me.
It's just like one of those classic jokes.
Yeah. I always hear fourth graders talking.
But yeah,
about
there's
inkwells.
they're always talking about inkwells, and they're always talking about gazebos, which features heavily in this.
Yeah.
Gazebos. The guy, that's where the parents were like, we have had enough of this imbecile who does not know of the gazebo or whatever.
These people that he's an imbecile. What the? Yeah.
The white thing with the no walls in the middle of the park. What is
Where
this
the band
idiot
plays in the
lawmaker?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, there's a lot of gazebo talk in this.
Look.
Not since the
McCusker
Gilmore
understands.
Girls has there been so much gazebo talk.
Amen. Thank you for working in a Gilmore Girls reference. It's been
Of
approximately
course, it's all
2
I could
episodes
think
since
of.
we've
It's
done
all I
that.
could think of. Are you kidding? The
It's
gazebo.
like the small town that, like, right? You're either gonna
Right.
go Simpsons, you're gonna go Gilmore. Like that's what
I
we're
really
doing
liked.
here.
I really liked when they said about the gazebo that gazebo sounds like an animal from Africa. I was like, "Okay, racist. What is this?"
Yeah. What the?
Right.
Giraffe?
Is that a zebra joke? Is that a gazelle joke?
Yeah,
Is it
I don't
both?
know really, but I'm just like, why you got to bring Africa into it?
Yeah,
God,
like, jeez.
leave Africa out of this.
Well, and like also, why all the gazebo jokes? Like why?
Because it was all gonna go down at the gazebo.
So Jeff and Bobby present Harley with their problem, and Harley's suggestion is first that he could arrest her for harassment.
Yeah, which is really going to show like how readily the police are willing to use more more effort and enforcing laws that are not in existence and actually being very violent and carceral.
It's
He
so
said,
great.
"We'll lock her up for bothering you."
And it's clearly a joke within the show, but Harley is not saying it as a joke.
Nope.
Right. That's the thing. Like he actually is. I'm like an idiot cop.
Yeah.
Like, which I'm just like, it's such an interesting choice. Like, were they anti-police? I don't think so.
No. I think
Maybe they're secretly anti-police.
yeah, I think it was just the like pre. I guess.
Well, it's just because it's
Like,
funny.
like
cops are
pre-
funny in the
80s.
80s.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like, this is a show heavily inspired by, like, Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Andy Griffith, but if there was a goofy cop character, I'd believe it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it just feels like it's
I think there's
of
Goofy Cops and
that.
I Love Lucy as well.
Sure, it just feels like
We
it's
love
of
a
that
stupid
era.
cop, and we love when a
Right.
stupid cop encourages children to lie, which is what he does do. Of course, his instinct is to lie and do rash things. At least it's true. At least it's true. You know?
And
There's some honesty in every joke, right? Isn't that the Mulaney bit?
sure, I mean that's I don't know, I feel like I've heard that a lot of times.
No.
But
But doesn't Bobby also agree? Like this guy is kind of he sucks. I don't think.
yeah,
he's right.
yeah,
Yes.
like he doesn't totally seem like he trusts him. And
Yeah.
there's this point at which Harley is like, okay, here's the actual plan. You tell this girl that you are deeply in like with her.
Yeah.
She only wants you because she can't have you. And
Just gross to say to a child.
Yeah.
And Bobby's like, did that work for you? Like, are you sure that's going to work? And Harley's response is, it worked for me when I was a kid, I think. Or is that how I met my wife?
Yes, which I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of a funny joke.
No,
I kinda like that
it's-
joke.
it's-
You know?
yeah,
I'll take
I was like,
it.
oh, we got some jokes. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
This is where I'm like, he wanted to write for TV. You
Right,
know?
like a befuddled character is
Or
funny.
is that how I met my wife? You know, like a classic little hook there. That was a nice
and I
one.
like that it's not because I feel like that sort of like under the breath joke is usually saved for making a dig at
your wife. Exactly.
Right. That's
Whereas
true.
this is not that, but it is.
It's making
like,
fun
It's
of
a little
Harley.
bit of a dig in the sense of like, does he mean that she bothered him and then he was like, and acquiesced?
right. Or is it just that he invited her to a gazebo and
then
they
he
lived
fell in
happily
love.
ever after?
Yeah.
Which I mean,
I feel like
we can only
Harley's a
dream.
simple man.
But either way, he's encouraging you to create a false narrative, you know.
Yes.
Which actually, but Bobby does end up doing that, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
He's hesitant, but he's found no advice. Yeah.
This adult.
Well,
Because
did we say what advice Connie gave to Amy?
Maybe, but she just
Oh,
said
yeah.
basically ignore the boy, then the boy will like you.
Yes.
Which the thing is, all things not wrong, really.
Yeah,
necessarily,
no, not
you know,
entirely
unfortunately.
incorrect, and like they all kind of sound like real advice, except for
Well,
the
it's
throwing
just
mud.
like-
Rebecca?
No, I mean, I could never.
Right, like,
but
I'm
it is
too
true
earnest.
that when boys don't like you, or that when boys will like you more if you're not liking them. Like, I had a situation with a boy where it was always like, when I liked him, he didn't like me. And when he liked me, I didn't like him because why didn't you like me before, you know?
Sure.
But definitely this would be a thing that cooler girls would do, would be act nonchalant and etc.
yeah.
And it probably did work for them more.
I'm
often
sure
than
it
not.
did. I just didn't. Nah. I'm all
It's
chalant.
a dishonest way to get to
unfortunately.
a crush. And I don't support that. I do support honesty, which we'll get to later.
I like it coming out strong for
Pro
honesty.
honesty.
Honesty is the best
Anti perverts, pro honesty. This is a really
Yeah.
wonderful Valentine's
And if you're
Day
gonna be
episode.
perverted, at least be honest about it.
Yeah. don't use an
That's
incognito browser. You just you
Listen,
put that
that's
shit up for
abolition for
everybody.
you. Let's be honest.
Oh man.
Well, there's a lot of kink shaming that happens in this episode, strictly from Wit towards his invention. Because he keeps saying he's working the kinks out.
Oh.
That's that is a good one. With a little cherry on top.
Strangle myself with this yarn behind me.
So then they finally have their interaction. Bobby
The
arrives at
gazebo
Wit's
talk.
End, and Amy is ignoring him, but just
yes.
blatantly, once again, honesty, just explains straight up to him. She's like, I'm ignoring you right now because I think it'll
Yeah,
make
she
you
doesn't
like
do
me.
a good job of ignoring him. She's not actually ignoring him. If she was in the Banshees of Inisherin, or however you say it, then he would have chopped a finger off.
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
for
This
sure.
is actually what this movie is. This
Actually,
is actually
kind
that.
of. I just
of
recently watched it.
But this is the thing. This is what's funny is like,
It's
this is
throwing mud
where
instead of
the
chopping off fingers. That's it. That's really it.
but it's her ignoring him and doing all of that sort of negates the end of the story, because it's like, whatever, there is a resolution, but actually not really, because from the start, from this moment on, she thinks she's influencing him by quote unquote ignoring him. Do you know what I mean? Where she's like, oh, it worked, I ignored him and now he likes me, but he's lying. Obviously he's doing lies, but then she's already over him before, you know what I mean? Like if there's any like honesty is the best policy lesson towards the end, it kind of isn't true, because she is doing her tactics the whole time also.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
know
no,
what I mean?
no, yeah, she's playing her own game, which I mean, go for it, get it. And Bobby's trying. He's not sure
Yeah.
what to do.
Their conversation, there's like a little bit of, there's part of it that is them both doing the wrong thing, and then part of it doing the right thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Her lies sort of undercut the end of the lessons learned, or her like ignoration tactic, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Is she, because she's convinced that she actually made him like her.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Right.
So it's still on a bed of lies, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The resolution, which makes it all the whole ending kind of is confused of the lessons learned, I will say.
Yes, I would tend to agree.
Yeah, no, wholeheartedly.
Whereas, right, so Bobby is just trying to convey to her that he's into her, while
Right.
she is trying to convey to him that she's not. And
They're doing the
his stellar compliment is that her poems really rhyme.
Hey, I mean, if I heard that
I would
as
die.
a child, I'd go crazy. I'd be like, oh my God, he cares.
No,
Your
somebody
poems
told me
really
that
rhyme.
about my writing. I would just put my car in neutral and lie down in front of it. I would just
I'm
let
like,
the
he can't
slow
think of
death
nothing
take me.
else. You know, come on, the poems are good.
Bobby's
she's
trying.
obviously an advanced
Bobby
writer.
is trying, and I do give
Yeah.
him that.
Yeah.
He's nervous and he isn't like girls. He's uncomfortable.
No,
Also,
yeah,
do you know what's funny? Just to like the way that this episode started, it was like, but this Halloween, or not Halloween,
That would be great if it started, but this Halloween.
but this Valentine's Day, things were a little different or something
Yeah.
like that. And I thought she was going to be like, it was based, I thought it was going to be like, this Valentine's Day, he got horny. This Valentine's Day, I was like, he's going to be into it because that's what makes this Valentine's Day different. And
Right.
it's not.
Nope,
it's that someone
nope,
had
it's
liked
labeled
him.
Someone's
for
into
Bobby.
him.
I thought it was literally gonna. I thought it was gonna be like a lessons, like teaching lessons about like what happens when you go through puberty, like something like that. Really.
Which they do later do.
Kind
Okay,
of.
yeah, of
when,
course.
When David Griffin, the actor, begins to go through puberty and they
And they
decide
have to
they don't want to
explain.
write him off the show,
Yeah, they have to
they
explain
then
that.
do a puberty episode.
Hey, good for them for tackling it. Sure. Anyways, so yeah, they confess their untrue feelings to each other.
Nope.
And he invites her to the gazebo, and they once again talk through the gazebo of it all.
Yes.
Which
It was sponsored by Big Gazebo or something.
Yes, definitely.
I do find the beat of her saying the same thing about the gazebo as Harley did when he was explaining it very funny.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I did.
Where
It's
it's just
pretty
like,
good.
oh, it's the spot where like the big brass band plays over the summer.
Yeah.
And like that whole
Right.
thing.
The,
I'm like,
the
okay.
the jokes are writing themselves. He's doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
he's doing the jokes.
Well,
And then
you only
they're
have
hitting.
to like write a handful of sentences if you use them all 3 times. So
There you go. That's a joke.
it's very efficient
You
for his
solved
timeline.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's right. That's how Amy is now convinced that her tactic worked
Right.
because he's asking her out to the gazebo.
Which of course is untrue. They've both been influenced by older forces that were not really guiding them in a mature way.
Correct. And then she gets out to the gazebo and he basically goes through and is like, I really like you and I think we should go steady. So I guess this is goodbye.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess this
Which is
goodbye
pretty
now.
cute.
Yeah.
I'm like, this kid is absolutely adorable, actually.
Well, and it's because he sounds so resigned to it. He doesn't sound excited.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
really
"So
sound-
I
he
guess this
really is
goodbye."
very-
And she's like, "Oh, what?"
He is very Charlie Brown in that, like, oh, just I'm an exasperated kid and I don't know why what I'm doing
bald
here.
And I
Yeah.
Yeah.
have a job. Like, what happened?
I'm going through stuff, man.
I got a rock.
He's going through changes.
He's going through changes, that's for sure.
Very nice.
But then is that when she flips it and reverses it?
Yes.
In that moment, basically, it happens all very quickly.
Well, because she's now all the more in love with him
yeah.
Yeah.
in this
She's like, "Oh!"
in this moment.
Yes, because
Right.
he's a man that is soft and like confessed his feelings and is like, "Oh
A
my gosh, I
sensitive
wasn't expecting
child.
you to be this forward. Like, I'm just
Right.
so all about it." And he's like,
I
"Oh,
thought I
great."
was gonna have to put the work in, and you're telling me that you're just into me right
You're
out of the
just
gate.
in? Amazing. Yeah, she did not see that one coming. But it's never that simple, is it?
No,
not-
well, and Bobby also didn't see that one coming because he's like now, like I mean, his day's ruined. He's
Yeah.
like, oh,
It's
I thought I
worse.
just won. Like I did
Yeah.
everything I was supposed to do, and now I didn't. I'm still stuck with her. And so he goes and he talks to Wit. So finally, we've had 2 adults with bad advice. And now we have the adult with the quote-unquote good advice.
The ice cream guy, the ice cream man.
Making a machine that is definitely a fire hazard.
Yeah, I mean, I do like how much detail they went into, like, now he's going to explain his invention.
Yeah.
Before we get into the, like, boy-girl stuff.
I didn't even write it down. What is his invention?
It was like a sundae maker, right?
Yeah, it was an automatic
yes.
Sunday machine. That
It
was
scoops
like,
the ice cream.
Yeah,
puts
That's
the
right.
fucking,
Because it bursts
you know,
into flames and he makes a joke about, like, toasted ice cream or
Yeah,
something.
which
No,
honestly sounds pretty good to me.
You know?
I'd try it.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a thing though, because I feel like I've seen it on like Chef's Table where they like serve like fresh ice cream and they like put like alcohol on it and set it on fire.
Oh yeah, they be
They
setting
be
everything on fire
on Chef's
in those
Table,
crazy
bro.
kitchens.
Everything's fair game for flame.
Totally. This
your
actor
Tinder
is
bio?
very good.
Fair game for flame. Yes,
Fair
me
game
and
for
my long-term
Fuego.
monogamous relationship. I'm very active on Tinder.
Hey man, some people would say they are.
That's so yucky. Why?
And that's kind of what we're talking about in this episode.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Well done. Well done. Honestly.
This guy, let me say though, this guy that plays the ice cream man, what a voice. What a voice. He's got the perfect, he's like, I'm just a wise ice cream man.
I just been doing guy
You
things.
ask me.
Suckers
Yeah,
need
I
a
liked
trade.
him. I enjoyed him a lot.
So Hal Smith was both the original voice of Owl in Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, he's got the
And-
credits. Okay.
Yeah, and the aforementioned, he was in Andy Griffith's show as
Right.
like the drunk, the town drunk.
He's giving a performance here. I'll say it.
Yeah, he's
definitely
stellar.
putting.
He's been in a bunch
mean,
of
it's probably
Disney
so easy for
animated
him.
stuff. I feel like.
Yeah.
Let me see if
He's
I.
one of those
Yeah.
guys who's just like, this guy was clearly
This is his
never
day
young.
job.
He
Yeah.
was always a grandfather, and he's just like, he's got the right like tenor of voice.
Right.
Yeah, you can kind of like, you get it that the show was more or less built around him.
No, totally. He's a star. He's an absolute star, and I believe him. And that's why some of his advice being a little bit questionable is disappointing. So what he says, let the crush pass is one of his things. Because he's simply naive about the longevity and endurance of a childhood crush.
Yep.
You know, that's where he really messed up.
Right. I feel like that's his big misstep. But I do.
But then the other
appreciate-
things are basically normal.
Right. He's like first off, it's flattering. Of all the boys she could have picked, she picked you.
You're special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, is sweet. And then he's like, but look, I don't have any simple advice for you to kill this off. Girls are delicate.
Yeah, what did he say? It's they're tender
nerves.
nerves
Yeah.
or something. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah. Whereas
What are you saying
me,
about me?
very calloused child.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
As a boy.
Yeah, you Bobby, you get it. You're not like that. And meanwhile he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to
Yeah.
hurt the feelings.
Yeah. This
I
is
don't
a
have
very
feelings.
sensitive boy. Don't tell
Yeah.
him that, like.
Encourage that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and
Let
that's
it-
the thing with this episode, and especially with the throwing mud bit, where they say like, "Oh, you wouldn't do that to a girl," and it's like, no, you should just
You
not
should, exactly.
do that.
I wrote that down too. It was
I
like,
wouldn't do that to
well,
a
yeah, I
girl.
guess you shouldn't do that to a girl. I'm like, no, just don't.
Just don't.
Do
That's
that.
just
Stop
bad.
the violence.
Hear me out. It doesn't matter who it is. Throwing
That's
mud
the
is
thing.
ill-advised.
It's like in general, this episode, save for the intro and the outro about the jails and such of Valentine, like it can be pretty like whatever, it's
Yep.
like who cares, whatever. This is like inoffensive. It's like a thing,
Right.
But it always still has the thing of like, because she's a girl, you
Right.
see, it's still very gendered in that
Oh,
way, which
yeah.
like, what am I expecting is the 80s,
Right. That
but
is
it definitely
conservative
sets it in a time. Yeah.
Right. Right.
This
The
isn't
thing-
Bluey, unfortunately.
Silly girls.
Right.
Silly girls are so like love struck. I mean, I
They
was
just
that way, but-
swoon. All they do is
Yeah.
be swooning on those
Swoon-
fancy couches.
Girlies be swooning.
Right, where it's the thing that would stand out more if this was an episode that felt contemporary. But because it feels so of a time, some of that stuff gets like a soft pass. Where you're
I'm like, I wouldn't expect anything different.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this isn't, I'm not like, oh, this is so gendered because it's this conservative Christian show. I'm like, oh, this is so gendered because it is media in the 80s. And like, it feels like we're only just barely getting past that now.
No, totally. It's just par for the course, It's just like this is the way these stories are going to be.
I mean, I grew up 20 years after this, and the shows I was watching on TV growing up were just as gendered.
Oh yeah,
right.
I mean,
and like her as a character being like so like basic, horny, being a horny little girl, that's a caricature in and of itself. But also like. That's not what's surprising. What's surprising is who she decides to become horny for next. That is where I'm like, why? That doesn't get the pass of just being 80s, I feel.
Yeah.
In the context of the story and these being children, I'm like, poor Kay.
Poor Kay.
I have to ask poor Kay.
But yeah, the line that he says, though, that on your topic of honesty, that is just so good in this moment is, he says, if a person has to feel hurt, it's far better that they feel hurt because you told them the truth.
Which is like
now that was a line. Yeah. That took me back for a second. At first I was like, and then I was like, you know what? Fair. Yeah. Honestly, true. Yeah. I think that if I think that's an interesting like thing is like, oh yeah, it's hard to have to live a life where you never hurt anyone's feelings.
Do no harm, but you do have to
like don't try to hurt someone's feelings for no reason. But like also sometimes the truth does hurt. I think that's a valid like lesson to be teaching.
Well, especially with relationships and stuff, like setting boundaries is so important. And what is that other than just saying what you're comfortable with and speaking truth into the situation that might be potentially harmful? I mean,
and that's the thing. I think that's where like that's a very strong line. I don't know if I can elevate the whole show to be like upholding that.
No,
like, that's the
no,
thing.
it doesn't.
We're looking,
no, it doesn't. No.
That's a good line that inspires like further good thinking. That I'm like, I wish that the show could do that, but it's still the show that it is, and it still has to get back to St. Valentine or whatever.
Right, exactly. That's so much of what I feel like we wind up talking on this show is like. We fall into like you're sifting through, and every once in a while there is like a little speck of gold, and you're like, oh, okay.
Well, that's the thing. That's just religion in and of itself, isn't it?
Yep,
most
like of it.
Yeah, just like if you think of the Bible as, a story, like tales to learn from, whatever. Exactly. Which is what it is. And that's, kind of what my mom's relationship to that sort of thing is. And sort of, I don't know about the Bible. I really don't. But like the Bible isn't the thing. It's the everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's but this was real and you have to, you know what I mean? Like it's when you got so unchill about it, which she gets at the end, that it's like, well, we could have just learned lessons from stories, as we always have.
Well, I mean, I will say, like, I will graduate with a degree in Bible from Lancaster Bible College in the spring, and I don't know shit about the Bible. Like, nobody does. It's not like a definitive thing. It's a book. Like, it's a 2,000-year-old book that was written over the course of 1,500 years.
Right.
Like,
take it for what it is for, I'm like the same way that, when I'm either feeling down or feeling up, I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll randomly check this astrology app to see if it affirms anything of what I'm feeling right now. Yes. I'm not, I'm just, it's truly just what I've decided I want to take from it that day, but it also is saying some weird things.
Wait, what's your star sign?
It's also saying, But I'm a Sagittarius.
Get out of
Capricorn
here.
Rising.
There you are.
Gemini moon.
I think
is that the things? No, rising sun Capricorn. I don't know. The one, my main one is Sagittarius.
Okay.
And then the other one is Capricorn.
Are you November or December Sag?
I'm December.
Okay.
December
You're
6th.
one of them December Sages. I see you.
Oh,
No, that's a good thing.
Are you Sag?
Yeah, I'm a November Sag, but like I'm a.
When's your
cusp
birthday?
baby. I'm the first day, so November 22nd. So like.
And my boyfriend's the 27th.
There you go.
And my aunt Patty is the 22nd. She's my young aunt, who's my best friend.
There you go.
She's
You got
my person.
Same.
Yeah, we've got
birthday.
Sag energy all over.
Love to see it. Yeah.
And yeah, I same thing. I selectively decide to know what to about that. You know,
Yeah,
like to
exactly.
know things about that or not. When I'm feeling in a mystical era where I'm like, all of life's powers is in my hands.
Well, and there is something to be said about like the seasons bit where it's like, oh, it's about time for my birthday. I guess things might turn up. Like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like for sure. Like I feel like
I'm trying to look
experienced
for any reason to have hope.
that. Amen.
Every day.
Bring it on.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so anyways,
Honesty's good.
Honesty is good. I do think that honesty is the best policy, and I think
nope.
particularly in relationships. No, honesty is so important, and I do think people need to be able to say the honest truth that is often. Remember the movie The Ugly Truth with Gerard Butler?
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's basically what he's saying, which I was, a more mature point than I thought was going to be brought up.
Yeah, from this 1988.
But that's the thing. That's where I'm like, the thing gets confused because like he didn't I don't want her feelings to get hurt necessarily, but he didn't even actually have to hurt her feelings with his honesty because at that point she had already decided she'd moved on.
Exactly.
And that's where I'm like, why did you even do that advice? It would have actually, like, thinking about it now, it would have been a so much more effective, interesting episode if he like hurt her feelings a little bit and she was like, man, I really liked you, but thanks for telling me. But instead it's like this joke that she has to fall in love with the cop.
Yeah,
you know?
the
why?
doofus cop isn't
That a
40
weird
years
point? Like you
old
actually
and
have an
admittedly
opportunity
married.
to make an interesting little scene there.
Yep,
You know what I
yep.
mean?
Yeah,
Can't
and
have
they
that.
do the scene where they finally meet to break up is the classic like he tries to start to say something and then she butts in and tells
Yeah.
and tells him it's over. That she likes someone else now. She refers to them as Shakespeare would say, we're star-tossed lovers.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I agree. It's
Made
why
me
it's
think
in
of
my
a tossed
notes.
salad and then got me hungry.
And scrambled eggs.
Ooh.
That's how my brain works.
Scrambled eggs, pretty much.
On the mind. Yeah, that was cute. That was a funny joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little nuggets.
And then they have like a nice exchange, which is basically like, can we be? Where he's like, can we be friends though? Because I do
Yeah,
like
that was cute.
I do actually.
You can tell me if we're friends.
right when you're but he's like, I do like you when you're not like stuffing notes in my desk.
Yeah,
Like,
when you're
this
not
is
being a
actually
creep.
like, yeah, like I've learned the lesson that girls aren't all gross. I'm just maybe
Right.
not attracted to them right now, or I'm not
I don't want them
attracted to
giving
this
that
one,
kind of
or I won't be
attention.
attracted to them ever. We don't
Yeah.
know what's in Bobby's future.
Bobby has no idea what's going on. Bobby is currently sexless, and that's okay.
Yep.
We stand.
We
Leave
stand.
him alone.
Let him figure it out.
But
in his
then
own
why
time.
does this horny little girly, of all the people in the land of the
I
show,
thought she was gonna say Wit. I was really hoping that she was gonna
that's
say
the
Wit.
one that you should if you're gonna have a mature crush.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that she's not allowed to have a mature crush because you know how many mature crushes, me obviously, of course.
Right.
But why this absolute doofus?
Doofus.
So she's
my
got
God.
her crush is now the goofy cop,
Yep.
and
I literally have in my notes, no, not the cop.
I know. I was like,
We were
oh
rooting so
man,
hard
I'm
for
gonna
Amy.
take Rebecca on such a ride with this episode.
This really was the perfect episode for me. And then the music, the music that they played under her describing him, I'm like, you're encouraging this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The music was manipulative and encouraging her having this inappropriate crush on this bad guy cop.
Yep.
And they are all bad and, a cab, right?
Another
That's the lesson.
firm stance of this podcast.
Man, it's what a disaster of an ending.
Why?
Truly.
really fouling at the end. Just like could not stick it.
No,
you were so close.
Yeah, there was a lot of promise. They kind of fumbled the beginning, and then they were really close to getting somewhere with the scene with Wit, and then it just fell off the rails, and then we learned about St. Valentine.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Right.
That was so, and I want to know who pitched it and why. You know?
Yeah. It does. Right. It does just feel like, who's the goofiest character for her to have a crush on? This would be funny. And it's, which is still a bummer, to be clear. I'm not out here endorsing
and
it.
she's like, and the way he the way he captures jaywalkers and locks them up.
Yeah.
And
It's not just that she's like horny for him, but she is like into like,
it.
what he does.
Yeah. She's into what he does and what he represents, which is why I go from Amy's kind of iconic to Amy has lost her iconicness.
Yeah, she's
Amy has become someone that I don't know anymore.
Your Facebook
How can you go from liking sweet little sensitive Bobby to this is her rebellion? This is what it is. She's like, I'll never let a sweet boy hurt me again.
No
I'm gonna
more
go
nice
for this
guys.
terrible cop who will treat me bad.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a child. But that's what's crazy is the little joke that Miss Chris makes when she's coming back. She's like, I wonder what, like if Officer Harley knows what he's in for or something. I'm like, what
she says,
do
like,
you
he's
mean?
I wonder if he's prepared to have like his car
what
full
he's
of
in
love
for.
notes.
Yeah. Like she's joking about it. Like, see how he handles this one.
No,
don't. He shouldn't handle it at all.
No.
Actually,
right. If the joke was like, oh man, what a bad crush. She'll grow out of it. I'll be like,
yeah,
all right,
what's he
still
gonna
don't
do
love
about this crazy
but, like,
girl?
Why are we doing this? But right, it's like,
is he gonna go for
girls
it?
Girls be crazy.
Yeah, exactly. How's he gonna let her down, or was he just gonna go for it? You know, like that was such a weird tone. Yeah, like it was
so
encouragingly
bad. Also, we've
and
established
it's like
in the episode he has
sexual.
a wife.
Yep.
Yeah, he has a wife. It's true, and that's the thing. It's not even like so
Where's his ring?
censored. Like the tone of it is like sexual.
Yes.
You know, like the way she's talking, and like the whole like wink wink, funny girls.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
And yeah, the fact that he's like
strange.
The fact that he's a grown ass man who's like such an adult in a position of authority, an absolute idiot and married, just makes this like the kind of worst case scenario for a crush.
And also
like why not just do the realistic thing, which is just like unfortunately make her have a crush on Jeff.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna have a crush on Jeff at some point. Duh. You know? He's a bad boy at heart. Like if she's going for that kind of thing, go for Jeff, not this dude.
Exactly.
Strange. I want to get in there, rewrite it.
Well,
Start
luckily they
writing
never
some
aired it
letters.
again.
Yeah,
And
right.
When they replace Officer Harley, they replace him with a computer nerd, not a cop.
So she falls in love with a computer nerd in the new version.
So we still have the same.
But he's like a college
like, right? He's a college age dude with like
so
a pocket
it's still
protector.
a joke of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. But
He sounds cute. I
He
like
is.
him.
we're
okay, I have a crush on him.
Look, we've
Fine,
been
I have a
talking
crush on
about it a
him.
lot recently.
So horny
Whatever,
for
guys,
Eugene.
you caught me. Eugene. Love that.
Oh, yeah.
Eugene.
They love to
his
make nerds
artwork of
Eugene.
him has his hair behind his glasses, so you can't see his eyes.
Oh wow, he's like tucked. He's,
He wears
that's
vests.
good. Classic nerd. Classic
Chucks.
nerd.
Red chucks.
That's better for her. That's better for her. But you know what? I will say, still can be insidious. That's the new thing. All of the new canceled men are nice guys. You know, they're the quote unquote non-threatening nice guys who all do the same exact creepy tactics. It's not to get like about cancel culture here for right now for a second, but it is so crazy how it's like, oh, yeah, I know this dude. We all know this dude. And it's the non-threat. It's unfortunately, yes, it's the Eugenes. She thought Eugene was non-threatening, and then you know what? He could still end up being a creep. That's actually what the lesson of the new version should be.
Yeah.
So the stance I hear you taking, Rebecca, is just don't have crushes. That
Actually have no crushes. Guard your heart and your body. No, but I'm like, in real life, if she's like in in high school or something, and she decides she has a crush on Eugene in college, for sure Eugene's going on dates with her. You know what I mean? Like in the real version. That's just how it goes. Not great, but we're changing. Are we? We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Freaking hope so.
This is a
Is the world getting better or worse?
Both.
Yeah.
It's going in a
Both
circle.
at the same time, always. Yeah. And that's a good way to bring us to what do you think the lesson was? Sorry, I'm hosting your show.
No, this is perfect.
Because I just looked at my note that said, what was the lesson?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, I guess. Right, the thing that's most hidden in the episode is like, be honest. But the thing that's like
she ends with,
right, is like, I don't know.
Do you have the real quote?
No, I didn't write it down. What is it?
Because she was basically like, oh, and the love that we celebrate on Valentine's Day.
Right, it's the St. Valentine thing. It's like
the love that Valentine had for Jesus.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I'm like, no, that's not what we were talking about.
Not at all.
And so like, so love Jesus today, basically.
Yep.
I'm like, what?
Because it's Bobby stood up for himself the way Saint Valentine stood up for himself against the Romans because he loved Jesus. The end.
Okay, so Amy is the Lord that are telling him, love me, your new God. And he's saying, no, I don't love you. I only love Jesus. He doesn't say that. He just says, I don't love you.
Now, Rebecca, have you had a boy say that to you? Of, no, I can't date you. I am in love with Jesus. I love Jesus.
No, too many bad boys.
Look, I'm not saying
not
you
one,
missed
but
out,
that would be a new excuse. That would be a good one. Really connected to my faith right now. I'm focusing on that for a moment.
That's
yeah, that really threw me for a loop there. Whenever just Jesus's name just pops up, and we haven't been really talking about him at all.
Oh, thanks.
And I can't even.
Thanks for bringing
and that's
the
why I'm
J
like,
man
I don't
into
know
this.
the Bible, but is this story of the crushes reminiscent to any story in the Bible?
Not a chance, man. No.
Nope.
Yeah,
I mean, you can get some adultery stuff in the Psalms or with David, but that's about it.
Right.
Yeah, that was so interesting.
Not without getting into concubines. Yeah.
Right. They didn't have. They didn't
That's
have
not
to
what I
turn
thought
down
I had
women
learned.
in the Old Testament. They just married extra ones.
Well, and then also just like the way that they're comparing these things, it's like, so you're telling me Valentine was horny for Jesus?
Yes.
Like,
that's what they
so
want.
Valentine had a crush
that's
on
what
Jesus.
they're
that is
what
what
it
a
is.
saint is, or at least that's
Is
what
he
a
has a
monk
crush on
is,
Jesus?
right?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, generally.
Very, very
crushing
horny
hard on JC.
I mean, have you ever met a Franciscan? The monks, they're all horny for Jesus.
They're really horny for him. Hey, what a guy. He's ripped, apparently.
Yeah. Look, as long as they're not
Listen,
horny for the,
cops.
The white fake Jesus, only the real Jesus.
Why did I just blanked on the shoot. Who's the guy who's in Passion of the Christ? That's the joke I was gonna make.
Mel Gibson.
And I blanked on. No, but Mel Gibson doesn't play Jesus.
Oh.
It's the guy from the Count of Monte Cristo. It's
Who's in the Passion of the Christ?
No, this is no good.
Is that
so
the one,
sorry.
the main one that we're all thinking about?
Yeah.
Isn't that Willem? No.
It's Willem Dafoe's Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah, that's
Jim
how I'm getting confused. The
Caviezel.
Passion of the Christ. Jim Caviezel.
Jim Caviezel. There it is.
Caviezel.
Look at that.
Caviezel Diesel. He does not look like Jesus. Jesus did not look like this man.
Yeah.
If he existed, he didn't look like this. That's for sure. And that's what I want everyone to leave
that's
with.
what we need to leave on.
Jesus is
he
not
wasn't
this man.
European? Oh,
But he was hot enough for people to have
I
a
need to go
lot of
change
crushes
a
on
bunch
him.
of cathedrals.
Yeah, that was wild. That was a wild ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
She really did it.
Roller coaster, truly.
I'm so thankful you decided to ride this roller coaster with us.
Me too. I learned a lot. I really stepped into another world there for a minute, and it was nice to do.
I hope you can step out quickly.
Yeah,
And it doesn't
yeah.
wind up being quicksand or something.
Very much a toe in the water, and you don't like the water.
Listen, if it came on, which I don't know where it would ever just come on.
If
it came on, I'll sit in it. I'll listen to the world building. I'm curious about these characters now a little bit. What other terrible advice did this and that's the thing. Like, is this propaganda? It's questionable, I guess. But they're ashamed.
I mean,
of
the
it.
show, the parents listening obviously did not think it was propaganda enough.
in the right way, yeah. But to me, I'm like, you're humanizing him. You're humanizing him a lot. All right, you want me to think he's not threatening, and he has a gun.
Yeah.
And he will shoot a jaywalker.
Yep.
No.
In Odyssey, USA.
But also, he's really passionate about that.
USA.
So listen, honesty. We're being honest today. But yeah, that was a real thrill ride, and I'm glad that Bobby had a mature-ish conversation, and that and it's so funny how this is the other thing. This is my last thing.
Yep.
The way it's so cute because he's doing great little voice acting, but at the end he's just like, oh, you have a crush on Officer Hurley? Oh, that's great. But the way he's saying it is sort of like implying like, gets me off of the hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's
like
exactly
as if
what
the cop
he's
is
doing.
going to
He's
do something.
fully compliant and passing off this fourth grader to an adult.
He's like, all right,
Cool.
fine by
Not
me.
my problem. Women.
Which is actually kind of iconic of him.
Yeah, I mean, a little
he's
bit.
pretty.
Not my
He's
monkey,
being
not
pretty
my
funny at the end
circus. So
there. Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is
Yeah.
that was a great performance of Bobby. Maybe you should reach out to Focus on the Family, and they'll cast you.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, throughout the entire thing, I was saying, "Can I do this? I could probably do this."
Oh, totally.
It's like I could be Chris.
How do you
I
feel
could,
about?
I could play Connie.
Yeah. How do you feel about blood money?
Oh, I what did I say to you earlier? I need $5,000 really bad. So
There you
listen.
go.
We have no idea what the economics of this show are, but live your
Is it
best
SAG?
life.
I'll look into it.
It is in fact
SAG,
now.
yeah.
It was not for a
Yeah,
long
I'm
time.
sure.
And then
It's a production.
right, and then it had to become SAG at some point.
No, but I can't be a part of such a thing. I have to.
You
I have
have
to keep
morals?
my morals as in line as
Yeah.
possible.
Ethics.
Yeah.
Aim
It's like I
higher.
don't-
You can achieve better than this. Don't
You're
settle
the
for.
highly anticipated.
I bet this is a good paycheck. I'm not lying. Voiceover, pretty good paychecks for minimal work, honestly.
And you've got a voice and
I do.
and a mic.
I'm trying to use it. This is also my reel.
Yeah, look,
And thank
if
you
there
for
are
having me.
if there are any casting directors watching this,
Feverishly listening to every beat, every movement of my voice, saying she's got it.
I don't know what it is, but she's got it.
But she's got it. Honesty. That's what it is.
She's got honesty.
I'm so glad that I could have shared my honesty with you here today.
oh my word, thank you for coming here and living your truth.
My privilege, honor, and privilege is mine.
Yeah.
Privilege.
The privilege.
Honor and privilege is mine.
We'll cut that and make that the reel that we send out.
I think it's good. Keep it in.
Oh man, any closing thoughts, stray observations, things that you really feel like you gotta get off your chest before we get out of here?
Let's see. I think that last one's probably it. I think that it was. I wish that more little boys didn't want to damage girls for the rest of their lives. I will say that was very sweet sentiment from Bobby, and I think an accurate read of his impact on her situation, her emotional situation. So that was very nice.
But let me counter. If he had ruined her, if he had like totally put her
Damaged
off
her
of
life.
boys, she
Yeah.
wouldn't have turned to Officer Harley.
That's so true.
He had thrown mud at her. Maybe this wouldn't have happened.
It's possible that violence was the answer in the end. In revolutionary talks, it's something we always have to consider in revolutionary times. I hate to say it. I don't want violence, but history has proven itself,
Class warfare
January
feels inevitable.
6th.
That's all I'm saying.
Listen, thank you for that counterpoint. Keeping me accountable.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, I had a good time. It was very funny, and I'm honored to be here, and I think that it's wild that you've done so many episodes of this. Your tolerance of this is amazing.
Do you see the depth in my eyes?
It's definitely not making you crazy.
No, not at all. No, certainly not.
We're very sane people.
Yeah, things are going
super sane.
Just
and I guess
here.
it's Valentine's Day, right? It's Valentine's Day.
Day.
So really consider the repercussions of any notes you may be passing today.
Yeah.
You are emulate the children and Saint Valentine himself when he was incarcerated, and what I guess my stray observation actually would be, how is it that we still believe in such carceral systems in this country when even Valentine himself was incarcerated falsely?
The saint of love.
I love how
this
supposedly
think
Christian
about love
nation.
and get into prison abolition.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
I guess my final note. Not to be political.
No, I'm here for it.
We are very much.
That's my Valentine's Day message: is prison abolition equals love.
I mean, it worked
And
for
equals
you.
Cupid.
Yeah,
he flies out of
exactly.
prison, and then if you want to fall in love, he'll get you to be in love because now he's free.
Hey, there it is.
Deep.
Cupid and Valentine not the same. I understand this.
No.
For my purposes,
I see no difference.
That's it. Those are my closing thoughts.
I love it. Rebecca, what do you have to promote to the listeners of this fine show?
Well. My podcast Classroom Crush should be returned. If it's not, it's returning. For a little bit we're gonna. I don't know what the future is for it, but it seems time. It's the holidays being Valentine's Day.
Right.
Also, I'm in a little movie called Free Time. It is directed by Ryan Martin Brown, who's very sick. It is starring Colin Burgess, who is very sick. It is currently listed on Esquire's 41 most anticipated movies of 2023.
Wow.
So I don't know what the future of that will be, but follow Fifth Floor Pictures on Instagram, and they'll have the deets about it. It's really good, and hopefully you'll be able to watch it one day.
Heck yeah.
And I'm floating around TV and movie sets as we speak. If you are a casting director of White Lotus, hit me up. I would like to audition for season 3. And so hopefully you'll see me season 3 of White Lotus.
There you go.
Do it. Live
Or
your best
any
life.
other thing. Those are my things to plug. Oh, yeah. I guess you could follow me on Instagram at Rebecca Bulnz. Rebecca Bulnes.
We'll put a
Even though
link
my
to
name is
everything
Rebecca
in the
Bulnes.
description.
Yeah.
Here for
That's
Yeah,
because I'm still being off of the Twitters. It's been nice.
It's
It's
good,
better
but
for
it does
you.
mean
Highly recommend. Get off.
It does mean
Yeah.
you had to retire one of the best handles on Twitter. Been so
The
envious.
thing
of
is
it
like
for
I
so
think I
long.
still have it right now,
Oh, okay.
but what is wild about that handle is like I've had it since I was like 16 or something like that.
Andrew,
Which
are
is
you
what's
aware
crazy.
of what Rebecca's
No, I'm not.
Twitter handle is?
No.
Oh, it's absolutely Almond Milk Hotel. The thing is, I got over it so much, and then when I was doing the podcast or whatever, like I've had people say like, "Oh, I love that Twitter name, by the way," and I'm like, you know what? That's good
Thank
to hear
you.
because
Yeah.
you start to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
That means I've
But thank you.
attracted my target
Thank you so much
demographic.
for this compliment. And thank you for having me on.
Oh my word. Yeah.
Our pleasure.
Absolutely. This was an absolute delight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful to you for taking time to come on and do this. You've got
My pleasure, man.
Things to do, people to meet, and
I've-
movies to be in, but here you
and a
are.
comedy show to get to.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to manifest, but but in reality, I actually have a lot more time than I should. But thank you.
And with all that being said, we will be back next week, returning to the Eugene and Katrina stuff. We will be talking about episode 275, Second Thoughts. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Wad Fam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at Wad Fam Chalk Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Bobby's Valentine was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo, with special guest Rebecca Rose Bulnes. It was edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.